Hi guys, I'm Anissa and I'm back with another video, and today I wanted to do a tag video. So today I'm going to do the finish the book tag because I was recently tagged in this video by Riley from Iron Fig Fact, and this tag was originally created by Headless Books, so I'll leave a link to the original tag in the description box below. This tag has 8 different questions, so let's get into them. The first question is, do you keep a list of the books you have read? And yes, I do. First and foremost, I use Goodreads a lot. I have used Goodreads since 2011, I think, and consistently been updating it since, I would say, 2013. That is probably when I started using it all the time when I finished a book, and so that is when you can sort of start tracking when I started a book, when I stopped the book, and all of that. And I update Goodreads almost every day, more or less, with a few exceptions. So if you want to follow my reading during the week, then you can definitely follow me on Goodreads as well if you don't already. I have always my links to other social media in the description box below. So along with my Goodreads, you can also find my Instagram and my Twitter. A link to my Twitter account, so you can follow me on those platforms if you feel like it. But yes, I use Goodreads a lot to document my reading, but I also have a spreadsheet that I use from Brock from Let's Read. He made a new spreadsheet every year, and I just plot all of my books in with all this kind of information, so I can do a lot of fun statistics by the end of the year. So that is always up to date. And then I have for my different projects, I have books that I cross off when I finish it, so that I can see when I finished it, what my ratings were, did I like it, did I not like it, and so sort of like that. And other than that, I also sometimes use my bullet journal to track my reading for a month. I have not been doing it as much recently as I did in the beginning when I started my bullet journal, but I do want to keep a wrap-up page and a page tracker page every month, and then maybe for some other different project I use this for lists and stuff. But mostly I use my planning and stuff and reading statistics from my spreadsheets on that spreadsheet I was talking about. The second question is, if you record stats, what sort of records do you use? Do you use them for? And I use them both to all kinds of things. I like seeing how different my what type of genres I read a lot, and if I read if I both read a variety of author genders, and if I read diversely enough. It's also interesting to see sometimes, yeah, just seeing if you read more one year or the other, or how your months wavers depending on, so you can see if there's a consistency in when you read a lot and when you don't read a lot, and all of that. I think it's really funny. I always have enjoyed doing statistics of things, so yeah, it's funny. The third question is, do you give star ratings for books, and if so, what do you score books out of, and how do you come about the score? Yes, I use star ratings, and I have tried both just going with the whole 1 to 5 stars with no half stars in the middle, but I always figured there's a big difference for me between a 4 stars and 5 stars and a 4.5 stars as well. And so I like having that half star in between my whole star ratings, and because I think there's so far between a 3 stars and a 4 stars for me, for instance, and so a 3.5 stars is still a book that I really enjoyed and recommend, whereas a 3-star book is more, I probably recommend it, but it's not like a favorite book or anything, and it definitely had its problems and stuff. So yeah. But I would say I rarely give out 1 stars. I think it's difficult to give out 1 stars because I think for the most part, then you can always point out something that you enjoyed in the book, and then I don't think it's fair to rate it only 1 star. A 1-star book for me is when everything is problematic, or no, I don't recommend this book to anyone because of the problematic elements. A 2-star book is where I probably mostly end up, if I don't like a book, because mostly it's because I don't like a book, but that doesn't necessarily mean that other people won't like it, and I usually also have some things that I like about the books, and so yeah. So I would say the majority of my ratings go between 3 and 5 stars, somewhere around that, and then I have a couple of 2 stars in every other month. So at one point I used a rating system called Call Pile, where I took everything into consideration. But when I actually figured out that every time I did that, the ratings that I came up with were also my gut feeling ratings. So I feel like I don't need to do that because I have taken everything into account when I do my ratings. And so I decided that I wouldn't do the Call Pile system any longer, also because I felt like when I did reviews like that, it sort of took away some of the natural flow of my reviewing. So I sort of quickly stopped doing it. The fourth question is, do you review books? And yes, I review all of my books weekly. Before a couple of, like last year, I did with every 5 books I read, and I've also done monthly reviews. But monthly reviews is difficult because I read so many books, and I don't feel like anyone wants to see a half an hour long video, because I have to talk about between 11 and 15 books in a month. So I've decided to do it weekly and see if I don't read at least a couple of things, so I can talk about them and more in depth. And so that is what I've been doing all year, and yeah, that is also funny. And the 5th question is, where do you put your finished books? And this shelf, with the exception of these 4 because they are currently reading pile, all of these books on this shelf are my finished books. And currently I have them double stacked because I do not have enough room. I have all my comics here, and I have some comics down here, and then I have or graphic novels down here, and then I have my top shelf is my hardcover books and my Harry Potter books at the moment, but I don't really like how that is displayed, so I need to do something about that. Then I have this shelf, which is just started alphabetically by author and mixed genres, and so that is how it goes alphabetically. So in the back you start with A, B, 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 C and stuff like that, and in here with M. So, and then down here we have, it continues and to R here, and down here we have the last bit. And then actually the bottom shelf here is all of my currently reading books, and that is taking up almost all of that shelf. So that is where I put my books. But I'm sort of considering getting a new shelf so I can have more room for my books. But I don't have a lot of room up here, but I will be able to get another one of these type of shelves and then get rid of one of my cubicle sort of shelves, and that would give me more room because it's taller. Yeah, that was a side note. Question number 6 is, how do you pick your next book? And I have multiple ways of doing that. One of the ways that I pick my books is that I have my TBR unwrappings. If you're new to my channel, then I'll leave a link to that playlist up above. If you are not new, a recurring viewer, I think you know this, that I do these TBR unwrappings every once in a while, and that gives me about a stack of, currently I have about a stack of 19 books to choose between, so that it definitely narrows down my number of books that I can pick. Otherwise I have group reads that determine something. But this month I also did look into, because I want to continue a lot of my series, so I was very focused on adding some serious next books to my reading so that I could finish and continue with some series, and because I'm very far behind on my goals for that. And so I just went to my Goodreads to see which books I have by series next. I have my Goodreads TBR books divided into 3 different TBR shelves. I have my to be read, which is just standalones and short story collections and all of that doesn't fit any of the other shelves. Then I have my to be read first in a series, so series starter, and I have my series next starter and series finishes, so books that will finish up a series. So I went to those 2 last shelves and found a couple of books that I could read for that I already own, so that I could get on with some serious reading. And yeah, so that is how I've been deciding what I wanted to read this month, and I've definitely stayed pretty true to that TBR list, and otherwise I have been pretty bad at sticking to my TBRs. But I think the way that I did this with so many different genres and series, it worked really well for me, so that I have a lot of different things to go for. Question number 7 is, do you have any other rituals for when you have finished a book? And not really. I basically just start the next book. I mean, I don't have any specific rituals once I finish books, other than I need to review them and talk about them on my channel. Otherwise, I don't have very many rituals that goes into it. Try to find some space on my bookshelves, which have been a little difficult when you have to put it in where you have to rearrange all the books in order for it to fit, because it's alphabetically. So the last and final question is, who do you tag? And I don't know who has been doing this tag. I don't know how old this tag is either. So yeah, I'm gonna tag Jana from Bibliofilth, Caroline from Carolyn's Reading Ramblings, and Rhea from the Book Finch. And I'll be tagging my fellow Dane, who is a blogger, but I figured why don't get it onto the blogs, and I'll be tagging Kirsten from Læsehest with Fantasy, sorry, that was weird, to do this tag as well and get it out to the blog, because why not? And yeah, those are the people I'll be tagging. If you feel like doing this tag, if you haven't done it, then definitely consider yourself tagged and just do it. And yeah, this is all I had for you today. Definitely let me know in the comments down below anything interesting about how you catalog your reading, your finishes and stuff. And if you have any interesting ways of keeping statistics and stuff, I always am interested in hearing about that, because I find it so interesting what people keep track of when they read. And also, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye!